Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be, wherever you are in this bright, wonderful world we call home. This is Cross Examinations. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. I am here to entertain and enlighten and hopefully edify you in your walk with Christ or your lack thereof. I am a 26-year veteran of the comic book industry, having worked for Marvel and DC for most of that time. The artist of the Injustice series, New York Times best-selling, blah, 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 worldwide best-selling, you don't need to know all that. All you need to know is I'm a guy that likes to read the Bible, try to read it every day. I've read it for over 20 years, studied its claims and its properties, and come to the conclusion that it is the only holy writ from the Lord God above, extant today in human experience. I have looked around. I have studied others. I haven't studied them in depth to the point where I have memorized the Quran and stuff like that. But I've sought out claims of divine authenticity, and nothing holds water save the scriptures held in the canonized Bible, not the apocryphal Bible, just the canonized Bible. So that being said, how is everyone today? I hope you are having a blessed day and a wonderful, wonderful weekend to have been had. Let me jump over here, refresh this page, and grab the chat. I'm gonna bump this up. Mute this. Ha ha ha. Look at what I learned. Default view and pop out this here. Chitty chat. 12 watching. Please, there are 12 of you here. We need to get this congregation up and running. Can you hit that like button? And if you would please be so kind as to hit the share tab afterwards. Get it out to your friends, your family, those who enjoy this sort of a conversation, and those who need this kind of a conversation. Bible with me. Post to Facebook. As easy as that. And then I did just like it, so the Twitter would have gone out already. And by that, we can get a good little family in here and have a lovely conversation for about an hour, or however long the battery on my laptop lasts, because we are outside today. The young ones got up before I did, and took over the computer room, so I didn't want to kick them off the good computer. So I brought my potato out here. Thought I would enjoy a lovely, cool, but not cold morning in San Diego County. I'm not actually in San Diego proper, but that's neither here nor there. It's still gorgeous here. So for all of you stuck out in the hinterlands, I'll enjoy this for you. WK says, I haven't been able to catch the last several episodes live, but I still enjoyed them. The Santa Claus discussion was useful because I'm facing this decision right now. Fantastic. I am glad that I have been able to help. I look tired. Do I look tired? Well, my coffee has not yet kicked in. I feel okay, though. Hit like, but no friends to share with. All right. Gosh darn it, I do look a little beat. I look a little beat up from the feet up. but that's okay. I am I am awake in spirit. Optimus Deadpool, hey guys, wanted to update you that my mom made it through surgery and is home and doing well because besides some soreness. I appreciate the prayers last week. Right on, Optimus Deadpool. Great to hear. Great to hear. All right, let me jump into some of the comments from last chat that were dropped in the comment section after the fact. Dr. Fantastic says, when I was young, I thought I was too smart for religion. Now that I am a little older, I realize I was not very smart when I was younger. I feel you, man. I feel you. I love learning from and considering your perspective, Mike. Thank you, Dr. Fantastic. More of a comment than a question, but I appreciate it. Sorry, still got some egg in my mouth. Michael Lynch wasn't able to watch the whole thing. So sorry if you got into this. Have you ever discussed with your kids if it's always wrong to lie? I'm thinking of cases like Rahab and the family that hid Anne Frank's family. To it, I responded, the principle of greater evil does not apply to Santa Claus. And I'm not sure it's come up, actually. With my kids, yeah, I don't recall that topic coming up with any of my kids. Yeah, I think maybe I should bring it up. But usually yeah. I guess I wait sometimes for the kids to ask me questions and then I address them. But yeah, I guess that's something I should probably bring up with them. Um, Blacklist Universe, I agree. I was kind of going into similar topics since you were talking about how important it is to tell the truth and breaking trust. Yeah, I mean, lying to evil men, trying to cause harm to innocent people, the principle of the greater evil, you know, or is it the principle of the greater good? What serves the greater good? To lie and save a life, or to tell the truth and condemn an innocent? Obviously, the former. It's gonna think, was that the former or the latter? Yeah, the former. Um, PH asks, how do you interpret 1 Corinthians 11:14? I struggled with it myself way back and ended up cutting my hair for conscience sake. Well, let's go to 1 Corinthians 11:14 in Blue Letter Bible. But let's start at what? No, I'm not lighting the fire. Go back in the house, okay? Um, uh, well, let's start with, oh my gosh, how far back does this go? All right, let's just start at the beginning. Be followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now, I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep my ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head, which is interesting, but not the point. Every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if the but if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels, empowering women since the year 30 something AD. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man. in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman. But all things of God. Equality under the Lord. Since 30-something AD. Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? And this is your scripture. Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man hath long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman, this is the next one, if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. This 11:16 is the scripture by which I interpret the rest, right? But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. So I think he's probably um, 1 through 15 is basically Old Testament custom, synagogue custom, right? Um, men cover their heads with yarmulkes. Uh, Women back then wore veils. Um, so the covering, the uncovering, the long hair, the short hair, if you're going to uncover your head as a woman, you might as well shave your head. This kind of thing, it doesn't apply to us as the church, because it says in 16, if anyone seem contentious, we have no such custom. We, the church, have no such custom, neither the churches of God. So now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you, not that you come together, not for the better, but for the worse. For, well, then it gets into divisions and fighting against divisions and whatnot. But yeah, that's how I interpret it. I interpret it by continuing to read until I have the whole context of what is being said. So I'm sorry you cut your hair off, but hey, if it was your conscience saying cut your hair off, then go with God. There's obviously there's nothing wrong with cutting your hair. But right here it says there is no such custom in the church of cutting of a man, cutting his hair or whatever. All of this stuff is it's essentially Old Testament, as far as I understand it. If you take your own understanding, this does not threaten your existence, your eternal salvation. So it's really a non-essential issue. So that is that. Where are we here? 40 people watching now. I had almost 100 people watching me open a stinking comic book, and only 40 people want to talk about the most important topic in the universe. That's life. People care more about the frivolous than they do about the earnest and the important. Tasty, tasty cup. Nasser. Did Adam and Eve have belly buttons? It's an interesting question. One that would be nothing but conjecture. So I can't say. But there's no reason to assume they would have, nor is there reason to assume God couldn't have given them belly buttons for purely aesthetic reasons. So I don't know. Did the first created tree have rings? I don't know. Did it? Right? Or the first trees, all the first trees, did they have rings that showed age? That showed that they were, did you have trees? And then there were huge bloody trees back then, fossil record and all that stuff. I mean, asparagus grew 3 feet, right? Asparagus. So who knows? Who's to say? What's to say that we don't have an indention where our belly button is without the use of an umbilical cord? Yeah, who's to say? Did God create whole adult trees or just planted the seeds? Yeah, what came first, the seed or the tree? And what was the creation like? I mean, if you're visualizing it, was it, bam, God raises a tree up from the ground and all the little buds and leaves unfurl and uncurl? Or did he just make it appear? I would give my everything to have been there watching God create the earth and know these answers. But what are you going to do? All right, let's see. Hello from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Oh, wow. Absolutely ready for some of the word. Right on. Hey there. Ah. Da, da, da. Hit like button. No friends to share with. A wise man always considers himself less intelligent the older he gets. Yeah, I think people are like as smart as they ever get when they're around 17 years old, right? And then life starts teaching them that they're an idiot over time. Even Abraham technically lied to avoid harm to himself and his wife, who wasn't really his sister. Actually, his wife really was his sister. They had the same. mm, I think maybe she was his half sister. Um, but yeah, that's, I know, kind of creepy. But we didn't live. It was different back then because of the genetic information loss over time. Wasn't so bad. Hello, retro. Another praise for Optimus Deadpool and Yeshua Hamashiach, Jesus the Christ in English. If your eyes are toward God, you can't see nobody's hair. The Orange County Super Toast. Is that song? It's like, uh, all I see is Jesus, all you see is my hair, or something like that. Did God create whole adult trees or just plant seeds? Have you ever been to any places mentioned in the Bible? Nasser asks. Nasser, sorry. Um, Earth. Yeah, Rome. I've been to Rome. Um, Anything else in particular? I don't think so. I think just Rome. Trying to think if anywhere else in Italy is mentioned in the Bible, but I think it's just Rome. So probably just Rome. Uh, Emotionally exhausted. Do you think there are still angels guarding the Garden of Eden with a flaming sword? Does it still exist, and is it just hidden? No, I think the Garden of Eden was wiped out in the flood. Um, God's sword is all about finding the flaming sword that guarded the Garden of Eden. Um, so I do entertain that part of the possibility. Just, I mean, for a fictional story's sake, but yeah. Optimus Deadpool. As my pastor says, God has the power of creation. He speaks, and it is. It is. So imagine if he said tree, then a tree appeared. Just my theory, though. Yeah. I mean, really, um, he could just pull it out of his imagination and bring it into reality or into our reality, physical reality. There's no need to watch it grow like poison ivy making a tree grow. But you never know. It would have been interesting to see. Data Jip, bloodlines were more pure back then. Inbreeding didn't exist like we know it now. That's correct. Um, I'll reiterate this theory. This is sort of a Chuck Missler theory, but I totally buy into it because it makes sense. The Bible says that we are made in the image and likeness of God. Not we, Adam. Adam was made in the image and likeness of God. The image and likeness of God is perfect, right? So Adam's DNA would have been perfect. Eve was a female clone of Adam. Again, perfect. So their perfect DNA, when they had children, and those children had one generation removed DNA from perfection, could interbreed with one another without any genetic anomalies or abnormalities. What you get when you continue in an imperfect world to breed is you get imperfections that work their way in their mutations, right? They're mutations. Um, it's been estimated that you get a mutation once every 10,000 births, at least from what I read in some books a long time ago. So if you have 1 in 10,000 births, and you know, my son is the uh, beneficiary of one such imperfection. He has a genetic abnormality called tetrasomy 18. He's got one extra 18th chromosome, which makes him developmentally retarded, which means literally he's developmentally retarded. His development is slowed. Retarded means slowed in progress and in development. Um, so thanks for the sin that right. And so it creates this world where eventually, after thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of births and billions of births, actually, and millions of genetic abnormalities working their way into the genetic language of human DNA, you get to a point somewhere along the line where you need a significant amount of variation when you're interbreeding human populations. I mean, look at what happens. We've done this study with dogs. We've done this study where we've done this study with humans in royalty in England, or not just England, but in Europe, where families interbreed just within those families, and you would end up with psychotic people, just nuts, because it's not healthy. You need genetic variation, and you see it when we do it with dogs. We breed all of the genetic variation out of a dog so that we have uh, a Pomeranian. We have a tiny little waif-like dog with very long hair, um, or a Great Dane. A Great Dane is a good example. We breed these giant dogs, and or corgis. I'm sorry, I'm just going to name a bunch of different pedigree breeds, but you breed all the healthy variation out of a species, and what you get are unhealthy animals. They have very short lifespans. Um, yeah, they may serve a particular service for a particular amount of time. But that's why you need that variation. But I like to kind of simplify this concept and say that Adam and Eve were born with the entire alphabet in their genetic code, right? A to Z. And then generations after that, in the constant interbreeding, some of them lost the B's, some of them lost the G's, some of them lost the Q's. you have enough information loss, and you start to have genetic degradation. So if you have one family that has, like, you know, one family that has these, so that's not me flipping off, that has these letters missing, and one family has these letters, when you breed them back together, they're like puzzle pieces, they have the missing pieces. And this isn't all, this is, gosh, that looks like I'm flipping off the camera. This isn't exactly, literally how everything works. I'm just trying to make a very simplified version of what I'm trying to say. So yeah, now you don't want to go having babies with your sister is what I'm saying, right? Yeah, gang signs. What would be JC, yo, Jesus Christ. West Side. So I hope that makes some sort of sense to you. Abraham's story is so crazy. Retro Book says it is the origin of the Israel-Palestine beef. He slept with a servant and started the world's oldest family feud. It's not, well, it is the origin of the Israel-Arabic beef. But the Palestine beef was started by Yasser Arafat, because prior to him, that Egyptian coming into Israel and claiming Palestinian status for the Arab Israelis. Yeah, if it wasn't for him, I met a dude who came from Israel, and he was an Arab, and he's like, yeah, we're Arabic Israelis. Right? We're Arabic Israelis because the country is now called Israel. There's nobody in Istanbul saying, no, 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 I'm a Constantinopolite. They changed the name of the land from Palestine, which the Romans named it after the Israel's enemies, the Philistines, as a slight to Israel. And it was Palestine for 1900 years, and then the Israelis came back and renamed it its original name, or its name for centuries and thousands of years, Israel. And when they did that, everyone in Palestine then became Israeli. There's nobody who lives in Mumbai today saying, no, I'm Bombanian. I'm going to rise up against the Mumbaians. They changed the name of the landmass, which means they changed the definition of the people who live in the landmass. There were never any such a people as Palestinians historically, unless you're going back to the Philistines, and the Philistines were all wiped out, I do believe. So no, you had Arab Israelis, you had Christian Israelis, you had pagan Israelis, you had Jewish Israelis, and so the conflict is between the Jews and the Arabs, the sons of Israel, the sons of Ishmael, right? Jacob and Ishmael. So, yeah, the conflict there, but it was all Yasser Arafat who turned it into this, oh, no, 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 you guys aren't Arab Israelis, you guys are Palestinians. Hold on to that label, which, again, I've given you multiple examples of places where they've changed the names of the people. They don't suddenly create some uprising of people who want to just hold on to that old name so that they can fight the people who changed the name. I know it's more complicated than that, but it is what it is. I think I'd like to see Armageddon, or however it's spelled. Go ahead. You can go right now. Armageddon means uh, the Valley of Megiddo. Um, the Valley of Megiddo is in the Middle East. I'm trying to remember. I think it's in Jordan. So yeah, you can go check it out now. Armageddon is a location. The Battle of Armageddon is literally the Battle of the Valley of Megiddo, and that is where that battle will take place. My sketchbook, Optimus Deadpool. That's the Bible. That's the Bible describes it. God said, "Let there be light." Yep. What happened to Noah's Ark? Nasser Rabati says. Well, it depends on what you believe. I believe that that they've probably found what remains of Noah's Ark. Um, it's not on the mountain. It's not on Mount Ararat. The Bible teaches that it's in the mountains of Ararat, and there is satellite footage. Gosh, if I was on the better computer, I would do it, and I would share my screen. But you can check it out. There's satellite footage, and there's people who've been bringing down what is essentially petrified wood from the top of this mountain, and there's like ribs, like there would be ribs in a boat um, up there. It may not be accurate, it may not be true, but it looks like it to me, and I have no reason to think it didn't happen. So go, yeah, it's an interesting thing. You can check it out, and I'm sure you'll check out arguments against it as well. And you just make up your own mind. It doesn't make any difference to me if you believe it or not. Do I think the Ark of the Covenant still exists? Yeah, I believe it's in Ethiopia. There is good evidence, and there's a not like monastery, but there's a religious sect in Ethiopia who have been guarding what they believe to be the Ark of the Covenant for centuries. Centuries. They have one like priest dude who's allowed to go in and see it, and he stands vigil on this thing until I guess he retires or dies, and then they elect another one, just like the high priest they had back in the day. But Ethiopia is, if you follow, um, the Ark of the Covenant disappeared. Um, the Queen of Sheba was a follower of the God of the Old Testament. Obviously, she had a relationship with King Solomon. If I remember correctly, the Ark is speculated to have gone to Sheba, which is we know as Cebu, which they just discovered recently. They fled, and that population became Christian as well. They fled the Ottoman invasion or the Muslim invasion to Ethiopia, um, and that's where the descendants of Sheba live now. And you can look all this stuff up. It's all very, very interesting documentaries and whatnot. Um, but yeah, there's a dude, and he'll describe what the Ark looks like. And it's not like, dude, this is like the last time I saw it, it was like some 80-year-old dude, right? And it's like he spent his whole life guarding this thing. Um, and they don't publicize it or anything. Like, hey, come see the Ark of the Covenant. We'll make our village rich. No, it's all very quiet. It's all very holy, very respectful. And they've been guarding this thing for essentially 2,000 years or more. or probably more, since the ark disappeared before Christ, so it would have been. Wait, was it before Christ? Oh, now I'm forgetting. But anyways, yeah, that's what I believe about that. Oh my gosh, Kenzie, stop freaking texting me while I'm doing the show. Uh, great question on the ark. Is it really in that church in Ethiopia? I think it is. I don't. I've heard someone say that the ark was found beneath Golgotha, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. So yeah, we'll see. Copy of a copy of a copy gets worse over time. That's right. Master Ravati, they used it as a set piece for Russell Crowe's movie. Actually, I think it's destroyed by now. No, I don't think the Ark of the Covenant is destroyed. The Ark still exists. It will be found by the time the next temple is built. That's right, and they are planning the building of the next temple already. I think we did a bit on the red heifers being bred. I watched a documentary. Guy went to the church, but they wouldn't let him see it. Yeah, that's the one I saw too. Because he's not allowed to see it. No one's allowed to see it except for the whatever high priest dude. Good job, Eve. Have you ever seen the Assassin's Creed version of Adam and Eve? I recall this series. No, I have not. They're describing eugenics. How is this jumping up? I popped this stinking chat out. It shouldn't jump up anymore. 55 people watching, 29 likes. Please do like and share if you can. It helps get us, more live viewers, so we can get some great questions. So the ark can't be around anymore. If it were so, the place it would be in running rampant with plagues and people dying for not being able to be near it. The ark house, the mercy seat, where God's mercy seat is, and the presence of God rests on it. Now that is the Holy Spirit. Well, that doesn't mean that the ark itself has to be destroyed. And if you will remember, when the ark was taken to, was it Jatham's? Before they built the temple, they kept the ark at some dude's place. I think it was Jatham. I could be wrong. And he was blessed for having it. It would be in some people's places, and it was a curse to have it there. And it would be in some people's places, and it was a blessing to be there. And I think it was all about who the people were. When the Philistines had it, they got boils, they got disease. They were they were cursed because the Philistines didn't. It wasn't supposed to be with the Philistines. But when, gosh, I forget the guy's name. It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm not gonna look it up either, just because I don't want my computer to fart out. But when it was at that other dude's house, he flourished. He was like super blessed. So yeah, it's not. It wouldn't be running rampant with plagues and people dying for it if that is where God wanted it. That's just how God dealt with it being places he didn't want it. Yep. Wasn't this why the government used to do blood testing before marriage? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they did that to check for diseases. If I remember, I don't know. I didn't do a lot of things, but I know they didn't have genetic. They didn't have genetic DNA testing back then. So how would they have known? They don't do blood testing anymore. Now that they do have DNA testing. Yeah, most current Palestinians are actually outcasts from other countries. Yeah, that is. I don't want to get back into that whole thing, but Israel didn't eject Palestinians from Israel when they changed the name. Israel was Israelis were dancing in the street when the United Nations or whoever it was passed, or I think it was past the two-state solution or the two-state suggestion. Is the Israelis were dancing in the street saying, "Yay, we can have peace at last," and the Arab Israelis were like, I don't know, blowing stuff up because they were pissed off because they don't want Israel to exist. And it's hard to be buddy buddy pal pal neighbors with somebody you don't want to exist. So, anyways, let's not get off into that topic again. It'll take all day. Um, Most current Palestinians are Jordanian by descent. There was a mass migration around the time of the Israeli independence. Yeah, a lot of people just left. A lot of people just left. I have my friend Johnny. His family left Israel when when the Israelis took power. He says they got kicked out, but I think that's probably the bitter version his dad is telling him. Although they're Christians, not Arabs. I mean, they're Arabs, but they're not Muslims. But I mean, it's not like they couldn't just move to Jordan, right? Um, so I don't know. They came here, and hey, you know what? They're freaking filthy rich here, so I don't know what he's complaining about. You know, you get people, they move here, they have a great work ethic, they freaking put their nose to the grindstone, they build up their businesses and their nest eggs, and what is it? 50? No, wait, 1948. So 48 to 98 would have been 50. 70 years later, their children are living freaking high on the hog. I'm pretty sure if they were still in Israel, they probably would have done well in Israel too, but not in the Palestinian territories because all they do there is try to blow up Israelis. Although they're not Muslims, so they wouldn't be trying to blow up Israelis. Oh, they probably would have been killed by the Muslim Palestinians because they hate Christians just as much as they hate Jews. Anyways, I know this is going all over the place. Let's see. My sketchbook, kind of like you're not Americans, you're Mexican Americans or African Americans. The keyword being American. It's programming, I say. Well, yeah, I mean, in Israel, gosh, we're still stuck on Israel. It's by nationality there too. I mean, by nationality, I'm Japanese, but by birth, citizenship, who I am as a person, I'm an American, right? Um, most, uh, and really, I mean, there are Jewish Israelis just in the Jewish population, right? There are Jewish Israelis. There are atheist Israelis, atheist Jewish Israelis. There are atheist. There are agnostic Jewish Israelis. There are Christian Jewish Israelis, right? Messianic Jewish Israelis. So yeah, you can subdivide everything. Let's not get back into that. Let's not get back into that. If you want to see Armageddon, just get Netflix. It's not Bruce Willis's best movie, but it's, all right. Let me see. Oof, my battery is ticking down, ticking down. It is in the red zone. Have I been getting? Do I really look that tired? I got a good night's sleep last night. I'm really, very good. I need some of that stuff they advertise on Fox News that takes the bags away from under your eyes. The Ark had the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments in it, right? Yes, and Aaron's budding rod. Yes. My cat is at the window. That must have been a while ago. Sort of suburban art again. Gotta go. Peace later, Nasser. Although that was 12 minutes ago. It's an interesting theory. Seeing documentaries, yeah, they're fun. I love watching stuff like that. So a lot of theories. A lot of theories suggest it being kind of drum weird. Theories, but not. Yeah, I've seen that one. That's like the African. That's not a lot of theories. That's like one theory, as far as I remember. There's a tribe of Jews who escaped, I think maybe during the Babylonian exile, and they made their way all the way to Africa, down the eastern coast of Africa, where there is to this day an African tribe of Israelis or of Jews. They follow all the Jewish customs. They follow Moses. They follow all that stuff, and they claim to have had a Ark of the Covenant. But yeah, it was more of a weird drum thing, which doesn't resemble the Ark as described in the Bible at all. So I think that theory holds very little water. I don't know what else it may have been. But I do believe that they are descendants of a lost, maybe not a lost tribe, but a lost group of Jews who escaped the exile. Just like there was a tribe or a group that went to somewhere in Asia, and now they're like Asian Jews. I mean Oriental Jews. So. Likes and dislikes mean nothing. PewDiePie did 1 million like and 1 million dislikes videos, and there were no change in the YouTubes. When I like a video, it says so on my Twitter. So I like here, it automatically goes to Twitter and says Mike Miller liked this video. So it is hopefully helpful. But do like it. Do hit up or hit the share button is more important. Please do hit the share button. It's not destroyed. My sketchbook says it's not destroyed. We will see it again at the end of the age. God has the ark and knows where it is, just like he knows where Moses was buried. Yeah, it's true. True. Blood test for STDs, I think. Yeah, it was I think it was probably for STDs. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that just because I didn't ever research it. So, explain Abraham's story for context. For context. Oh, you mean the Ishmael and Jacob divide? All right. So Abraham was getting ripe, old in years, and but he had met God, and God had promised him an heir to, and through this heir, he would have descendants like the sand on the seashore, like the stars in the sky, uncountable descendants is what the euphemism means. And he waited and he waited, and his wife was not producing an heir. So his wife says, "Take my handmaid Hagar to wife, and have a child of her, you know, essentially, so that you can have this heir." And so Abram lay with Hagar and produced a child named Ishmael. Ishmael was his firstborn, but then God came back and he said, dude, I meant I meant that you're going to have a wife with or a child with Sarah. And so Sarah conceived and had Jacob. And Jacob was the true promised heir. Obviously, Jacob became Israel. God renamed him Israel. And Israel had the 12 sons, which became the 12 tribes of, of Israel that we know today. Um, Ishmael also became a great nation, as was promised. And Retrographic book says conceived at age 90. Hey, Mike, you might look up it that the Israelis have found the ark and are just waiting to build the temple to unveil it. It's on YouTube. It's an interesting watch. Yeah, okay, I'll check that out. So Ishmael became a great nation um, apart from Israel. Uh, I think I'm trying to remember how Esau merges into all this. Oh yeah, because Esau was Jacob's. Oh wait, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh no, no, no. He has Isaac, not Jacob. Jesus, what am I thinking about? So he has Abraham. He has Isaac, Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac has Jacob. Jacob has the 12 tribes. Isaac has two kids, Esau and Jacob, and Esau becomes like an enemy of Jacob because Jacob steals his birthright, sort of out from under him for a bowl of stew. Uh, Jacob's a sneaky, conniving SOB, but who his mother loves. But that's going down. Sorry. Now I'm just trying to like remember all of this story, and I'm not sure. Yeah, Isaac, not Jacob. Isaac, not Jacob. Thank you. Emotionally exhausted. I am just apparently mentally exhausted. So that is how the Arabs look, and I'm not entirely sure the legitimacy of the claim, that the Arabs claim Ishmael as their father. I mean, the Muslims do in particular. The Quran actually claims Israel's story, but replaces Israel with Jacob. I mean, with Ishmael. I mean, Isaac. They replace Isaac with Ishmael. So they're saying that they're the ones through whom all of God's promises are due and all that stuff, and they're the chosen people. Blah 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 blah. And so yeah, that divide. But that's why I was trying to think about Esau, because I think Esau, a lot of the descendants who are modern day Arabs, um, are probably, at least in part, descended from Esau as well. Um, I don't know. Somebody needs to do a ancestry.com on all the Arab people and see where their bloodlines actually derive from, because I'm sure there's lots of Babylonians, a lot of people that had nothing to do with Ishmael at all, who are claiming this Ish Abrahamic bloodline, who had nothing to do, because think about it, Abraham didn't come from a completely non-populated land here. He came from Ur of the Chaldees, right? Uh, he came to a land that had cities and whatnot, and so it's not like all of these people are descended from Ishmael, but they claim it, which is interesting and which causes this divide. But it'd be interesting to like just go back and do a DNA test on all these people, and they'll be like, no, actually, you are from you are of Egyptian Babylonian descent. You have nothing to do with the house of Abraham. So knock it off with your false claims. But then it is at that point all a matter of religion, isn't it? Um, they want to believe. They want to believe that they're descended from Abraham, so that they can claim this right that the Quran bestows upon descendants of Ishmael. Uh, but they can't all be. It's literally impossible. So, anyways, I hope that was enough to give context to what the Arab-Israeli conflict was founded on. Um, it's founded on a bunch of lies, actually, frankly. Um, but, you know, whatever. So, gosh, I think I've reached the end here. My battery is pretty low. Do you guys have any other last questions before I beg out and try to go sell some shark comics? If you guys haven't already, please do check out the, I think it's in the description. Check out the, oh no, yeah, the Meg Six Gun Samurai and Deal with the Devil Indiegogo. And Lone Star is still up. So, oh yeah, I gotta go check on my lettering. Good talk, thanks. I'm glad you guys were all here. I don't think this was quite an hour, but like I said, my battery is coming to a close. So have I been to Jerusalem? Not yet, Kodiak. It is obviously on my bucket list, but yeah, I would like to go someday soon. No other questions, but interesting stuff. Catch you next time. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you for being part of this strange little family on YouTube. And please do stop by, share this out with friends and family. Share some of the more interesting ones if you didn't find this one particularly enthralling. I know I didn't have a whole lot of questions to roll off of, nor did I have a core topic. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I'll think long and hard about what I want to do tomorrow before I jump in. Otherwise, if you have some questions that were not addressed, please do drop them in the comments after the show is over. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. The share button is far more important, so please do share this out. And you guys all just have a great, blessed day. In Jesus' name. God bless, guys.